Super Bowl Sunday's coming up. Michigan's got a proud history. There's one guy that's done pretty well there at the quarterback position. If you're looking at lists of, alma maters and Super Bowls, and a lot of those lists are going around this time of year, of course, there's one guy, Brady, that's done well. He's done well. Charles Woodson, Desmond Howard won an MVP. A lot of good Michigan ties to the Super Bowl. Without looking at it myself, and I hate to put you on the spot, is there any particular Michigan rooting interest in the Super Bowl because of former players?
Let me think. I'm trying to think right now. I gotta look it up, honestly.
I actually posted a video running down the college teams with the most Super Bowl participants on the two teams right now, and I don't remember where Michigan was. They had one or two.
I know. Well, David Long is a starting corner for the Rams. I know that for sure. So that's a rooting interest. I mean, Michigan aside, but I know a lot of the state of Michigan is rooting for the Rams because they're the Detroit Rams now with Stafford at the helm. This is the closest that Detroit, I think, will get to a Super Bowl. But that's what I've seen more than anything. David Long actually did have an interception. That was in the I think it was in the championship round. He did have a pick six, which was awesome. But yeah, I'm trying to let me see. I'm taking a look here.
I thought the angle. Chris Evans. Okay.
Yeah, former running back for Michigan, Chris Evans he's actually played a decent amount for the Bengals, which was surprising. I think a lot of people didn't know where he fit in. And obviously he had some struggles at Michigan as he rounded out his career. But they've had him as kind of a slot running back, slot guy that they utilize a decent amount. So there are guys on both sides.
I thought that the rooting angle was going to come against the Bengals because of being located in Ohio.
That might be true too. But here's the thing. I can't root against Joe Burrow. He's so likable and so cool. He's just got this X factor that it's hard to root against him.
It is. I'm rooting for the guy. But what about this? I don't know how much you've picked up on this, but his comments about Ohio State have ignited these two fan bases in both directions because he has tempered the Ohio State fans who have been like, he's our guy, he's a Buckeye, he's a da-da-da. He kind of brings that down to be like, well, I played at LSU, I accomplished everything at LSU, I'm an LSU football player. Basically, I don't think that can be debated. For any Ohio State fan that takes Joe Burrow as their own as being a Buckeye, no, he didn't play at Ohio State. Yes, he should be given credit. He was on the team, he was on the roster, he had a scholarship in his hand and he practiced, and yes, he contributed from that standpoint, but obviously his legacy, his legend, he was the number one pick in the draft because of LSU. So he's kind of tempered the Ohio State, but when asked or trolled by Michigan people who have kind of trumpeted those comments that have downplayed his Ohio State connection, he's countered with, I think the most recent was something about having 3 sets of gold pants and beating those bums up north. So he's played both sides of it to a certain extent.
He's smart. Honestly, he's getting both sides there because I think the Michigan fans, when he had the comments or whatever it was about Ohio, not going to Ohio State, and that he was something like he was glad he left there. I think Tom Brady said that to him in an interview back and forth or something like that. So that was where Michigan fans definitely took off, and they're like, yeah, screw Ohio State. Burrow doesn't own them, that type of thing. But obviously he does still have the gold pants, and he was in Columbus for a decent amount of time. So it's funny. I just find him as a likable character. He's been the underdog a lot and still somehow pulls it off, and then celebrates with a cigar in his mouth and just looks cool doing it. So it's just one of those things where it's hard not to root against him, or it's hard to root against him. And I wanted to ask you this: is this the Super Bowl? Like, I feel like neither team is hated at all. It doesn't feel, there's no like dynasty where like you want to see them lose, or both quarterbacks are pretty likable. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that. We've seen the Patriots so much for the last 20 years and people just getting sick of the Patriots. Uh,
Right.
but beyond that, my son brought up something. He doesn't like the Rams because they've kind of bought their team. They're built on free agency, going out and getting Jalen
Sure.
Ramsey and Von Miller, and they seem to be a star. Odell Beckham Jr. They seem to be like the star-studded team that just kind of collects the stars, and he doesn't like that.
Okay, I can definitely see that for sure. Um, I'm a little blinded by the Stafford thing over here. I'm a big Stafford fan. I was always a Stafford fan when he was here in Detroit, and felt like he didn't get the love for obvious reasons. They were never winning, very often. So it'll be fun to watch those guys though. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any of these Michigan guys get a big play on the big stage. David Long will be one-on-one with with Jamar Chase at times, I'm sure, and that could be interesting. And then, if Chris Evans, if you get one touchdown, if you get that one pass, then all of a sudden you've got a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and you can kind of hang your head on that forever. So it'll be a cool opportunity for both those guys.
When I make these connections between college football and the NFL, and then I lay it out kind of in the metrics and the statistics, I get a lot of comments back, feedback that doesn't really matter. What does that say? But when you put it all together, I got pretty much the same results as I typically get anytime I make any connections between NFL success, which obviously, if you've made a Super Bowl, that's NFL success, and
Right.
college. And I got it again in adding up the rosters. SEC number one, Big Ten number two in terms of players on the rosters, and then it's not even close with anybody else.
Really. Really, that speaks to everything, doesn't it? There's obviously different things, because I think the thing that when you go to Michigan specifically, Michigan has tons of NFL talent, right? But it hasn't always meant wins for them or championships for them. They've won a lot of games, obviously Michigan has, but they haven't. This is the first championship, so people talk about the relation there, but that means something, right? It means you get the SEC is getting the best recruits, and so the Big Ten's up there too. But also, then you're developing your guys over the course of 3 or 4 years and making them into NFL talent. You think about what Michigan had in NFL guys the last few years. A lot of those guys are three stars. You think about a Ronnie Bell who's about to probably be preseason All Big Ten guy. He's a 2 or 3 star he was at. So I think it's cool to see these programs, develop these guys. But what you're saying is pretty telling of how college football goes year in and year out.
And that's the most players in the NFL as well on all rosters. SEC number one, Big Ten number two, and it's not close to number three.